So there's a phrase that goes, if you want to make an omelet, you have to break some eggs. I feel like if you want to make a good horror, you have to have some horrible decision making.
Real. I just gotta keep it real. I gotta keep it real. I gotta keep it real.
What's good people? Welcome to Hovius. Thank you for clicking that thumbnail. My name is Corey, and today we're going to be talking about Alien Romulus. So I'm going to do a movie review on the front end, talk about the things that I liked, and then get into the spoilers, talk about the things that I didn't like. I really enjoyed this movie. I want to call it very good. I'm going to talk first about performances and the things that just really stood out about this Fede Alvarez film. So, Alien Romulus is just another entry into the Alien franchise, that existing property that has been coming around every few years. You have Prometheus and you have Alien Covenant that came in recent years, and those didn't really feel like Alien sequels. They didn't feel very similar to everything that we got from Alien, although they were from the same kind of creative lineage. Covenant was definitely an alien film, where Prometheus didn't necessarily feel like an alien film all the way. We didn't actually get a full-blown xenomorph in that film. In this one, Alien Romulus is absolutely an alien film. There are so many nods to the original. There are so many things that they did here that they've done in the franchise multiple times over time. I really got a kick out of it. It was a true horror. It was set up like most horrors are set up. You have your likable characters, the ones that you know are going to survive, and then you have the ones that you really want to see get taken out. You have a whole bunch of things that are happening. You have very, very good sound design that's going on. I think that's one of the standout things about this movie to me, is the way that they use sound and the way that they use the darkness of the setting to just really create tension. If there's one thing that Fede Alvarez does well, it has to be the creation of tension. And so he did that from the outset of the film all the way up into the very ending. So I enjoyed it for that reason. Very high marks on the sound design and the intentionality when it comes to creating tension. I want to talk about performances here. Kaylee Spaney is our leading lady. David Johnson is our leading man. I will say that Kaylee Spaney, I'm going to make a comparison here that is probably not very popular, but in this film, she really, really reminded me of Millie Bobby Brown, and I have a few reasons. Not because they look similar, but they have a few similar features, like, the nose, maybe the face shape, the age seems similar, even if it's not. But I think the most distinctive feature when I think about Kaylee Spaney in this film compared to what I've seen from Millie Bobby Brown's characters in Stranger Things and in the Godzilla film, and a lot of times she plays really young characters that are full of naivete. And so Kaylee Spaney here is incredibly naive and just a hopeful type of character. And she played it well. This is not a criticism or critique. She was doing what she was meant to do. I like the way her character is written. It is convenient for the plot of a horror. But at the same time, it just was very reminiscent of some of the things that I've seen from Millie Bobby Brown, and just, that young white girl, short brown hair. It just felt very similar in a few different places to me. That's not a knock or criticism. I enjoyed Kayla Spaney. I thought she did a great job. When it comes to just pure acting, though, I have to say that David Johnson, I feel like, steals the show, because he plays Andy, and then at the same time, there are synthetic humans in the Alien franchise that you can't really tell the difference between them and actual human beings. And so he gets a chip put in him. This is a light spoiler, but he gets a chip put in him that causes him to act in a different manner. And when I tell you he felt like two distinctly different characters, it's notable. It's something that needs to be praised, because he goes from one set of activities and one way of doing things, and then he totally switches up, and it just feels so different from everything that we've seen from that character up until that point in the film. And then you see the mark where he switched back to what we saw in the beginning of the opening of the film. I really enjoyed it, and I think it was a remarkable job by David Johnson. Without going any further, I do want to say here is where we're going to get into the real deal spoilers, because we're going to talk negatives, and I don't feel like I can talk about the things that I disliked without actually talking about the things. And so here we go. If you haven't seen it, go check it out, come back, see what I have to say here. But for those who have seen it, I want to go into the things that I did not like. So there's a phrase that goes, if you want to make an omelet, You have to break some eggs. I feel like if you want to make a good horror, you have to have some horrible decision making. In the last third act of this film, you have, to me, what feels like very spotty writing. You have characters making the dumbest decisions that I've ever heard of making. I'm going to talk about three of those decisions right now because they do happen in what feels like a chronological order. So, first horrible decision that gets made is that after things go bad on the ship, we have the male romance character. He is opposite of Kaylee Spaney. You have Andy, who is kind of working against us at this point, and this guy hears a moan down the hallway, and he decides to just take out running because that's my sister and my sister's alive. Boy, what you doing? Sir, you saw your sister get taken by a monster and blood splattered on the window. At this point, nobody's going to blame you for leaving her. The primary objective at this point is to get out alive. And I just didn't understand why he heard that groan. He paused and then he reacted like a madman, like I got to go save my sister. Sir, this is a bad idea. And I didn't like that he did that. And I feel like that just was done to drag the movie on. And I understand this is a horror. Somebody has to do something stupid. And that was the first thing. Next thing that I feel like was really, really dumb was the idea that, hey, I am the pregnant girl and I am on my way out. I believe if my memory like is correct on what I saw, I think that she actually made it off of the initial ship and was on the escape vessel. She just had to press one button and she chooses to inject herself with the black goo that we were introduced to in Prometheus. Basically, it's the same thing. And so she says, oh, I'm going to just inject myself with this mystery goo. After you've been told that there's a 25% chance that you can survive this. Baby, what you doing? What you doing? This is not the right thing to do. You are a one button press away from escaping, quite possibly making it to a safe location. Why would you just inject yourself with something that you don't even know what it is? I feel like it was a horrible decision that she made. And the last bad decision actually gives us our last action set piece at the very tail end of the movie. Like they dispose of the alien fetus that comes out of the pregnant girl and it goes into the bottom part of the ship. And our heroine, Kaylee Spaney's character, Rain, decides, let me go down there and actually eliminate it myself. Baby, what you doing? Just eject the whole cargo bay. You already saw the option on the screen, it was flashing. You go down there, you remove those four clamps, and you get the hell out of there. There's no reason why you should go down there with your little pack on and you're actually trying to go toe to toe with this thing. What are you thinking? That's nonsense. Get down there, let everything go, and be done with it. I just didn't understand why we have to have this drug out fight at the end and these moments that I didn't really like because this speaks more to writing and the fact that this is an IP that, Hollywood does not believe in movie stars and doing that. No, let's go with a familiar IP and let's do the thing we did before. Like all that stuff could have been avoided had you just released the whole cargo bay. I didn't like that she didn't release the whole cargo bay. So that covers the poor decisions. The other part that I would talk about that I feel like is just poor writing, I kind of alluded to it, the fact that we get basically a rehash of Alien Resurrection where Ripley has the humanoid xenomorph hybrid that's coming at her and it has like human eyes and such and then she pokes a hole into the cabin and then the vacuum of space sucks the monster out through the hole and all that stuff and we basically get a different version of that same thing happening with Kaylee Spaney's Rain character who uses the blood and makes a hole and they get sucked out and she survives some type of way. It just feels like a way to redo what we've already done. I feel like this movie, it's an alien film, so there are certain things that's gonna happen. You're gonna see people get exposed to that acid blood, and they're gonna meet their demise some type of way due to that blood. There were some unique action that took place here. I think the zero gravity scene where she's taking out xenomorphs, great action scene. Never seen anything like it in an alien film. That's great. But then at the end, in the final action of the film, we get a rehash of something that we've already seen. Although it was a much more gruesome version, and I like the fact that they used the engineer face from Prometheus, like those engineers, they put that face on a hideous looking body, and it was horrible to look at. But at the same time, I like that you included it, but I don't like the fact that you made a human xenomorph hybrid and you got to dispose of it in the same exact way that we saw on screen. We could have been more creative there and did something different, or just not redo what we already did. The movie became quite predictable after she injected, or the pregnant girl injected herself, and then all the stuff like you could predict, okay, this is gonna happen. She's gonna give birth to something. It's gonna look human. Rain is gonna have to get rid of it some type of way. It's probably gonna be reminiscent of what we saw the last time we saw a human xenomorph hybrid thingy. And so I don't like when films get predictable. It just don't feel good to me. And this one got predictable just in the last 15 minutes. And I think that really took off a lot of points from the film in my mind. But again, I'm still saying that it's very good, though. Very, very good. I think it's very important to note that there are so many things in this film on the positive side of spoilers. There's so many things in this film that connected to previous Alien films, like the presence of that black goo connecting it to Prometheus and Alien Covenant. You have the presence of Rook, who is an android, but he looks like Ash from the very first Alien film. Really cool stuff. I know that in the beginning, when the ship was like being kind of torn apart and they were searching for the alien body or whatever, because this one takes place like 20 years after the first one, where Ripley is still missing and there's a bunch of other things going on inside the Alien franchise. But in the beginning, you get to see them tearing apart the original ship, and you see, I think the original ship was named Nordstrom or Norostrom or something like that. I'm gonna have to throw it on the screen right here. But you see that Strom show up, and it's like, oh, okay, so they going back to the original ships and with the original characters and crews. Also, they connected it to Prometheus and Covenant because you have David the android present in Prometheus, and you have a different updated version of David in Covenant, and then they're both there in Covenant. That's cool. Well, in the original, you have Ash, who's an android. Here you have Rook, who is an android who went to Ash's ship and got to see Ash. And then you also like it's really cool the way they're doing the thing. Like we have models of androids and we can keep using the same actors over and over. That's nice. I like the fact that you did it. I really like the Andy character and the way that it's like, oh, we built our company off your backbone. There's so much meta commentary because some people have said like, oh, the xenomorph is not really the villain. The company Wayland Yutani is the villain of the Alien franchise. And it's like, yeah, that's never been more apparent and evident than in this film. I was like, man, they really want you to feel for Rain the way Wayland Yutani did Rain in the beginning of this film with the changing of time and basically making you a slave to this colony. It's crazy. But yeah, capitalism and the greed of capitalism on full display here. The idea that Andy is the only black android I think that we've ever seen in this franchise. It's like, oh, we built the company on your back. Like, as a black man, I see what you're doing, and I like it. Makes so much sense. There's a lot to like about it. I'm very high on the film. Again, I put it in the very good category. The redoing of certain beats that we've done in the franchise is the only thing that kind of keeps it out, as well as like the horrible horror decisions that were made. Uh, but it was very good to watch, and I would definitely revisit it. But I don't think I'll have anybody to revisit it with. My wife is not one to watch with these. But hey, like the thumbnail says, those are the problems with horrors. The fact that when it's not an original IP, they rehash things, as well as they just like tons of horrible decisions that our characters make. But did you have any problems with this horror? Do you feel like it was not as good as I think it was? Do you not find those moments to be cool like I found them to be cool? Please let me know any of those thoughts that you may have in the comment section if you've watched thus far. I thank you so much for watching if you've watched thus far. And that's all I have. Enjoy yourself, guard your heart, and go watch something good.